Thursday, March 13, 2014, 5:55 a.m. I wake before my intended time, just as I've come to expect. What I haven't expected is to find Justine burrowed into my chest, an arm wrapped around me. I ease myself very slowly and carefully from her grasp. She turns over, sighs, and continues breathing deeply. Bugsy adjusts himself too, and curls up behind her knees. I grab my shaver and clothes, I choose mirror image ones, and head out to the spare room's ensuite, where I get ready. As I watch myself in the mirror, I'm noticing that, despite the relative lack of sleep, I'm looking refreshed. Certainly nothing like poor D1. His ghostly visage ended up haunting most of my dreams. In fact, I'm still feeling a bit of an emotional hangover from that. And my heart literally skips a beat. I'm noticing the arrhythmia more and more whenever I think of poor Justine crawling into my bed. The fact that she sought me out in the middle of the night leaves me feeling heartened that she finds comfort in my presence. The problem is, I'm totally unsure of the boundaries. I've wanted nothing more in the last couple of days than to give Justine a simple hug, but a combination of my instinct and her body language have warned me off. I'm only too aware, from a few introductory units at university, that post-trauma psychology is a complex maze to navigate. I really don't know the first thing about the ground rules, never mind what might be optimal in such circumstances. All I can do is be here. Ironically, today I won't even be able to do that, at least not until some time in the afternoon anyway. Important preparation for Plan 2 beckons. As I'm shaving, I reflect on how selfish D1 had become at the end. It's not for the first time that I realize a sense of unease, that part of me must be like that, or at least must have the propensity to be like that. In order to ensure that I won't go down the same road, I try to get into D1's mindset. In the end, I come to the conclusion that he must have been so immersed in his own problems that he had stopped considering anyone else. In relation to me specifically, he hadn't even paused to contemplate that I had become a separate person. It was easier for him to persist with the fiction that I was just a disposable extension of his persona. Deep inside, he must have known this to be false. As I said to Justine, you don't ever really truly believe your own lies. Ultimately, I'm pretty sure that this was part of what was eating away at him. The more he lied to himself, the heavier his subconscious burden became. This was reflected in his physical deterioration, not to mention the obvious tics, like the constant face rubbing. Put in the context of my comments to Justine, I can conclude that D1 wasn't being true to himself. Instead, he was running from the truth. He was relying on cognitive dissonance to buttress his cowardice. And, as I've noted before, cowardice and selfishness are really opposite sides of the same coin. It's true that Frank's and my plan, it's a joint plan now, because I've had significant input, involves running away in a physical sense. But we're definitely not going to be running away from the truth. We plan to confront it head-on, and we're going well beyond what is required for our own purposes. We'll be doing the right thing by Justine, even if it creates risk for us both. This heartens me. D1 be damned. If I was ever that person, I'm not him anymore. Then I will certainly never be him again. 7:40 a.m. Good morning, Mrs. Chu. I've been stretching my legs out front, hoping to catch my neighbour. I'm in luck. Good morning, Mr. Picklejig. No going to work today? On holidays, Mrs. Chu. Good. Your girlfriend? She gone now, la? Yes, back to her house last night. Ah, I saw the car leaving. Can't move relationships too fast. Very true, Law. Mrs. Chu, I'm afraid I have some bad news. I had another phone call from that horrible man. Oh, no! Oh, yes. I was hoping you'd be so kind as to keep a special lookout over the weekend. I wouldn't want to be surprised by him. Of course, I will do my best. Thanks, I appreciate it. Neighbors must look after each other. Indeed. Just so I can be prepared, I remember you said you'd be away part of Sunday? That's right. I'm leaving for my sister's house in Geelong at 11 o'clock. Then I go to pick up my husband from the airport. I should be back at 6 p.m. You going to be okay? I hope so, but it's good to know your movements. 9:59 a.m. I'm down in the studio mixing music. I've done a master of Yoda, and I think it's sounding pretty good. Since then, I've focused on the instrumental Chasing the Devil and Good Enough for You, at least the retro rock version. The reggae and jazz remixes of the latter remain largely conceptual at this point, and they are going to be the hardest to do, but at least I've got a start on things. There's no way I'm going to let Zar and the other boys down. I'm mixing with the headphones on so as not to disturb Justine. This is far from ideal. I know that necessary adjustments will become obvious once I replay my mixes over the monitors. The problem with the headphones is that they provide misleading reference points for relative volumes. But this is a small issue. The bulk of the mix will be in place, and that's all that matters now. The first I realize that Justine has come into the studio is when a cup of steaming tea is placed in front of me on the desk. This is followed by a hug around my neck, which pushes my headphones around a bit, and a kiss on the back of my head. I can smell soap on her skin and feel the warmth of a recent shower. Her wet hair flicks against my cheeks. I take the headphones off, and we can both hear the chorus of Good Enough for You, complete with the driving bar chords coming from the earpieces. Hey there, thanks for the tea. How did you sleep? Justine pulls up the chair next to me. Better. I see that she has her own cup, which she has placed on the bench top. She takes it with both hands and sips, or rather slurps. I thought you'd gone. You said something about 9 a.m. Then I took a peek down the stairwell and saw you were still here. I just wanted to get a start on the band's music. I promised to upload it by Friday. Don't you have enough on your plate? A promise is a promise. I'm liking you more and more, you know that. So what time are you planning to leave for Perth? Oh, I suppose I should go soon, probably straight after this cuppa. First stop will be Kylie's, I guess. After that, I want to get to the bank as soon as it opens. Then I'll pop in and say goodbye to all the folks at Dixon, Cox and Peters. Then a bit of tidying up in the Perth studio, then home. And you're going to tell me what this is all for when you get back? Count on it. A promise is a promise. Okay. She kisses me on the forehead. Hurry back. I take a few big gulps of my tea as I save my files and minimize Acid Pro. Then I open Profile Generator 3.2. Justine watches as I select Record and Null, then choose to print to Perth. I take the chance and give her a quick kiss, from which I notice she doesn't flinch. Then I walk to the booth. I open the door, let it close, and wave to her from the window. A moment later she vanishes. I expect she would say the same thing just happened to me.